Hi guys, today I'm going to be talking about some scholarships that you guys can apply to from your second year to your fourth year at UCI. And it's just good to know about it even as a first year because then you can think of ways to prepare for these scholarships because they do require some preparation. Okay, so here we go. We have three main resources on campus that you can access scholarships. So from the time you are admitted to all the way to graduation, you always have the Office of Financial Aid. So mostly the Office of Financial Aid focuses on need-based scholarships, but they also do have some merit-based, which reminds me that they do have scholarships open. I believe the applications they usually do February or March. So I would keep an eye out on that if you're looking for more scholarships. And then there's always the FAFSA, which is due in March, I believe, but I think it's open in October. So I'm sorry about this, but yes, I'm pretty sure it's usually due in March. Um, and then from year one to graduation, you have access to the Writing Center. This is not access to like scholarships in specifically, but they can help you write scholarship materials like such as your application, brainstorming about like your personal statement, give you draft feedback, personalized feedback, etc. And the one that I will be talking about today is the Scholarship Opportunities Program. We're different in that we focus mostly or only on merit-based scholarships. So it does require a minimum GPA, some kind of experience. So whether that be research, public service, or graduate school, it depends on the scholarship that you're applying to, but that's why I'll talk about it today. Okay. Okay, so just to reiterate, some things, the things we focus on at SOP is outreach, advising, and recognition. We help undergraduate students applying to 21 awards, and there is a nomination process for 13 of these awards. What that nomination means is you're going to get this campus level endorsement, which is kind of like a letter of recommendation from UCI itself. Not all of the scholarships, again, require this endorsement, but just pointing it out, 13 of them do. Okay. So here are the 21 scholarships. We split it up into two categories. So Explorers 11, which is in fall quarter, and Trailblazers 10, which is in the spring quarter. And the reason why we do that is just because these are all external scholarships. These are not UCI scholarships, but these are scholarships that other corporations or organizations have. And we're just here to help you guide you to achieve those scholarships. Yeah. So there's four main categories of these scholarships: research, service and leadership, internship, and then abroad scholarships. Okay, let me also drop a link in the chat for, that way you guys have access to all the links that I'll be talking about in this presentation. Give me a second. Okay. So I'll kind of talk about those links as I progress. Okay, so the SOP advising process it involves a lot of personal discovery. So we kind of map it out for you as like an exploration phase, a mapping phase, a trailblazers phase, a climbing phase, and then you're achieving your scholarship. So the exploration phase will require you to take this SOP-PREP course in order, and you need to finish it in order to apply to any of the scholarships. And this is mostly so you can know why you're applying for a scholarship and what you've done or what you plan to do so that you're ready to just reiterate all of that in your application. So the first three is for exploration, and you have 3 journals about like your role models. Then your second one will be about your educational ambitions and resources, and then your personal action plan. Then you'll go through a mapping phase, which is 3 more modules, and that's going to talk about impact engagement, virtual, and then you'll have to meet with a personal student advisor to talk about your scholarship plan. Did anyone have a question? Okay, cool, I'll move on. Yeah, so you'll find out that the link that I sent you guys in the chat, the second link is the SOP-PREP course. So as a reminder, you do, I do see a chat. You do need to, why does it say engineering ICS? I'm not sure. I can look at that for here, engineering ICS. This slide was taken from that presentation, but it applies to for everyone. So everyone will need to go through that prep course. Okay, cool. Okay, so the basic timeline for all of our scholarships is first, you'll have to identify a scholarship and go through the SOP-PREP course and fill out a pre-application. I put the pre-application link in that Google Doc that I sent you guys too. So you'll have to fill that out to apply. After you submit a pre-application, you will be partnered with a SOP advisor. We have 3 advisors, and basically they're going to be the ones who will guide you through these essay drafts, what you need to apply for the scholarship. And then you'll go through an endorsement interview and final revision. So if you apply to a scholarship that doesn't require an endorsement interview, then we'll skip that part, but you'll still have this extra time for final revision. And then after, you'll submit. So you can kind of see here that it kind of takes a pretty long process. It could range from 3 months here approximately, all the way up to half a year. So they do take a lot of time, but it does help you a lot with like writing your grad school apps or other applications, etc. Okay. A lot of the time we meet with students, they ask us about like a recipe or some kind of like, oh, what do I need to do to obtain this scholarship? And we just want to emphasize that there is no winning recipe. So what we'll do is we'll discuss with you about what you have done and where you want to go. And then through that, we can develop a plan for you to achieve a scholarship. It doesn't have to follow some kind of recipe. It's pretty lenient on that. Okay, and why are we kind of helping you to obtain these scholarships? So for you, winning scholarships will lead to lifelong recognition and prestige. It'll open new avenues for future studies and goals, help you clarify your academic and career goal, and then prepare you for graduate school applications. Specifically, why UCI is interested in helping us, like undergraduate students, with this is that it does boost UCI's reputation, as well as your reputation in your diploma if you do win these scholarships. So yeah. Okay. So in the next couple slides, I will be talking about examples that students who have achieved these scholarships, and I'll be talking more about the specific scholarships in general that I would recommend to business students or students interested in business. But while we're doing that, I would like you guys to focus on these 3 questions. First one is, what is your most important academic or professional goal? Question 2, what have you already done to prepare for your goals? And question 3, what do you hope to do next year to advance towards your goal for this year? Okay. So I'll first start off talking with Explorers 11, which is the scholarships available to you from fall quarter to winter quarter. Just as a reminder, these are all the scholarships available. There's 11 scholarships. The Beinecke scholarships, Goldwater, NIH, NOAA, the SMART scholarship, Truman, Strauss, Udall, Killam, and California Capital Fellows, and Carnegie. For business students, I would definitely recommend the Truman if you're interested also in policy. Strauss is a really good one if you have a project in mind and you want a grant. I would also look into this if you're interested in business and policy, and then Udall if you're interested in business and like in the environment. Oh, and another one is the Beinecke scholarship if you're interested in grad school. But here we'll go. So here's the Donald A. Strauss Foundation Scholarship. This one is a $15,000 scholarship for students that are a sophomore or a junior. And basically, if you're interested in anything like public service, leadership, or the environment, you can apply. And what's really great about this is that $8,000 will go towards your project, and then $7,000 goes towards your tuition. So if you're interested in this and you are a like first year, this is something that you can like start maybe planning, or even like sophomore, you can start planning for this. If you're a junior right now, the deadline has already passed, but it's okay. There's other scholarships that are applicable to you. Okay, and then like I said, here's another scholarship, the Harry S. Truman. And this one is specifically for people interested in public service. So this doesn't mean like you're going to be working at Washington, D.C. or Sacramento, something like that. I mean, it could, like government jobs for sure, but also why I want to bring this up is if you're interested in creating some kind of nonprofit that aligns with your business plan, this is another scholarship available for you. and you could only apply as a junior. So I want to keep that in mind. And if you are thinking of taking like a 5th year, then you can apply like your senior, what would traditionally be called your senior year. What we mean by junior is like your 2 years before you graduate. Okay. So here's an example of a student. Her name was Kalia Amazon Hall, and she was really cool because she was interested in the humanities and business. So for example, she co-founded an indie video game startup. She was the intern of the year at Blackstone Launchpad and the Entrepreneur Center, and she won the Barnes & Noble College Scholarship. And I want to point this scholarship out to you guys because this is another project-based scholarship from the UCI Financial Aid Office that is accessible to everyone. Okay, and she was a finalist for the Beinecke Scholarship, which is a scholarship that funds graduate school for specifically more towards humanities. But I just wanted to bring her up because you can be interdisciplinary in this way while you have your business. You can also focus on your other interests as well. Okay. Before I continue, do we have any questions regarding those scholarships? I can't see the chat. Okay. Okay, no questions, so I'll keep going. So the next one, we have a group of 10 scholarships. These ones I want to point out because they are more focused towards students interested in business. For instance, the Schwarzman Scholars particularly targets business-minded students. And I also wanted to bring up the Paul and Daisy Soros and the Knight Hennessy Scholars, as well as the Fulbright. And let me talk about that. Here we go. So we'll start with the Fulbright program. What this program is that it funds a 1-year study abroad, like for research or business or teaching, anywhere that where the United States has a good like communication, they have a good relationship with. There we go. So because this is a 1-year study abroad program, it is like an internship kind of thing, or you can also apply for like a master's program through Fulbright. So we recommend you only apply as a junior, senior, or alumni. And we do work with you 1 year after you have graduated. So let me talk more about it. Specifically for business, Fulbright awards the Binational Business Internship and MA in Communications and International MBA in Finland, Spain, and Taiwan. And these are really nice because you are able to partner with a business of your choosing or a school of your choosing, and you can conduct your research, your project in any of these 5 countries. There are more countries that Fulbright is associated with. So here's an example of a student who has won the Fulbright US student program in binational business in Mexico. So Jason Molina, he was a double major in economics and international studies. What was cool about him was that he also co-founded the transfer student organization, which I know is really popular because as a all transfer students now have to like go through this organization, and that this is like a really good source for all transfer students. And I think it's really cool that he started that. Yeah, I will go to another example, and her name was Stella Liu. She was part of the CHC program, and she won all of these awards, but she applied for the US student program in sustainable design in Singapore. So this wasn't one of the 5 that I mentioned to you guys, but I just wanted to point out that if you have other like projects in mind, Fulbright is a really good source of funding for that project because you can really do this about anything and anywhere. So in addition, she was a semi-finalist for the Schwarzman Scholars, which I'll talk about later. Okay, so we do have a video that Stella made, so I'll just play it. Sorry, technical difficulties.
So I think what's great about the Fulbright is that you can really make it work for you. The name speaks volumes when you go out and network, and it's very easy to find opportunities that suit your interests. So I'm very grateful that I took the opportunity to go to the Fulbright because it validated my interest in pursuing a joint degree program. I'm interested in public policy and business because in the future I hope to work at a multilateral organization like the Asian Development Bank or the United Nations. I would say that I learned about my interests and who I am throughout the application process, because to write a good application, you have to do a deep reflection on who you are, where you want to be. You need to put together a compelling story for yourself. And I found that after the application process, having that thought process done was useful, because when I introduce myself to people or when I write up my bio, I know how to tell my story. And that's very important for networking, for making new contacts, and also to have a good direction in your life. So I would really recommend going through the whole process, because no matter what, you do learn a lot about yourself. Good luck.
Cool. Okay, yeah, that was Stella. She was really cool. Okay, so I'll be talking about the graduate scholarships and abroad programs now, but before I continue, did anyone have any questions about Fulbright? Okay, cool. So SOP offers 5 scholarships in to study abroad. So we offer the Rhodes in Oxford, the Gates Cambridge, which is in Cambridge, the Marshall, which is in any school in the UK, the Mitchell, which is in any school in Ireland, and then Schwarzman, which is specifically in Tsinghua University in China. And for all of these scholarships, you can apply as a junior, senior, or recent alumni. What's really great about all of these scholarships is that they completely fund any graduate or master's program that you're applying to. Yeah. So here is an example of another student, Brandon Finger, who applied for the Schwarzman Scholars Program, and he was a finalist. What was really cool about Brandon Finger was that he was a lead teaching assistant and also a research assistant at UCI's Deconstructing Diversity Initiative. And also he was on the National Society of Black Engineers, and he co-founded the Moscow Rosarito International Cryptocurrency Conference. Yeah. And another example of a student who applied for Schwarzman is Casey Zhang, and she majored in economics and international studies. And I wanted to bring her up because Schwarzman Scholars focuses a lot on leadership and business, but as we can see, a lot of her involvements were like peer academic advising, study abroad peer mentor, but she did also do a lot of business related things, but I just wanted to show that she did have a diverse range of interests. Okay, so I kept talking a lot about the Schwarzman Scholars, but basically what it is a fully funded 1-year master's in global affairs and leadership in China, and you have to also study other relevant subject areas, including business, policy, and international studies. You apply for this as a junior, senior, or recent alumni. And what I wanted to point out was that if you are an international student, the pre-application deadline for you is different. It's March 12th versus April. This is because if you are especially if you're a international student from China or neighboring Asian countries, they want to try to keep it fair so that all Asian students have to apply earlier. That's just how they did that. And then if you're not an international student, you have to worry about it. Your deadline is later. Okay, so these are the most lenient scholarships, the Knight Hennessy Scholars for Stanford, and then the Paul and Daisy Sorrows for New Americans scholarships. So you can for these 2 scholarships, there's not that many limitations on the degree that you can apply to. They're mostly looking at your experiences in your related to your interest, and then as well as you have to meet a grade cutoff of 3.7. For the Knight Hennessy Scholars, it's specifically in Stanford University versus the Paul and Daisy Sorrows for New Americans is in any university in the United States. The one caveat to the Paul and Daisy Sorrows for New Americans is that you do have to have like a background as an immigrant. So you either that you were the first in your family to go to school and like you were born in a different country, or your parents were born in a different country. I hope that's clear. And the one thing about these two, though, is that they are the most competitive. The Paul and Daisy Sorrows Scholarship only accepts 30 students per year, and the Knight Hennessy Scholars has a 5% to 2 to 5% acceptance. You do, for both of them, you do have to be accepted to the university of your choice, or specifically the Stanford University, to obtain the scholarship. So they won't award you the scholarship if you're not accepted to a graduate or master's program. Okay, I'll talk about the application components, but before that, does anyone have any questions about any of the scholarships that I mentioned? Okay, I'll keep going. So here are the general application components. Usually you'll have your project or study proposal, a number of personal statements. It depends how many based off of the scholarship. Usually 3 letters of recommendation, a CV or a resume, application forms, and transcripts. And we'll guide you through all of these processes throughout your journey, like your scholarship application journey. So you never have to worry about it. We usually turn in your transcript for you, so you don't even need to really think about that too much. Okay, the one thing that you do need to think a lot about, though, is while you're writing your scholarship applications is your proposal essays. Usually you'll have 3 main things that all programs look for. So they want you to adapt the content to a basic proposal structure, show pertinence to current academic debates, or highlight your motivations. So you want to point out your goal and why you want to pursue this specific scholarship and how you see the scholarship influencing your plan in the long term. In addition to your plan, you want to highlight how your plan fits with the trends in your field. So for instance, if you're interested in cryptocurrency, you can talk more about why you want to pursue this and how it fits with the current trends, just to show that you have experience and knowledge regarding that. Okay. Next thing that we put a lot of attention to is the personal statement. So for this, you have to identify who you are, analyze how future work will advance your academic and career goals, and demonstrate creativity and originality. So this will require a lot of introspection. If you were thinking, for example, to apply to the Soros, you will need to think about how your immigrant status has influenced how you grew up. If you talked an essay for the Stanford Knight Hennessy is the Connect the Dots. So they ask a lot about how the experiences you've had in your past have shaped you. Yeah, a lot of them are similar to personal statements that you encountered before in other applications, but I just wanted to point those out. Okay, and one last tip of advice is, as you're preparing for scholarships, you want to use your campus resources strategically. So you want to establish good relationships with faculty and professors. If you're interested in research, perform research, or study abroad, you can pursue internships, community service, and the SOP is connected to Phi Beta Kappa, which is a honor society on campus in general, it's the oldest honor society in the United States, but you are admitted to Phi Beta Kappa only through what do you call it? Like, we have to invite you to get into PBK. So I just wanted to point this out because if you see a letter from them, usually during your junior or senior year, I would recommend that you accept it. It's usually an invitation. Cool. Okay, the last thing I wanted to point out is a great resource for all students interested in business is the Entrepreneur Center. And basically they cover 3 things that pertinent for business students, so idea generation and industry research, consumer discovery and brand strategies, business entity structure and team building events, and then also startup funding. And this is another opportunity for you to get funding for your project if that's your interest. Okay, so the last things. Important dates. So if you're interested in any of the scholarships that I mentioned, especially the ones for Trailblazers 10, the deadline to apply or submit a pre-application is April 12. But what we would recommend is that by April 5, you should complete SOP-PREP. So those are the 6 modules that I talked to you guys about. And then by April 9, confirm your eligibility to submit a pre-application. And the links again are all in that document that I sent in the chat. I'll send it again towards the end of the presentation for the students that came later. Okay, and then this is what I was telling you guys about PBK. So it is the oldest and most prestigious honors society on campus. And yeah, if you get a invitation, I would recommend that you guys accept it. And if you want to learn more about our SOP and our services, you can feel free to go to our website or schedule a one-on-one advising appointment with us. And that is basically it. Let me stop share. And we do have a lot of time left if you guys have any questions. So does anyone have any questions about any of the scholarships? Oh, and let me share the link again in the chat for people who just came. Okay, I'll wait another minute. If there is any questions, feel free to just type it in the chat or out loud. But if not, that concludes the presentation. Thank you guys for showing up on a Friday and have a good 3-day weekend. Okay, Kamal asked, so that 3 to 6 month process you said starts anytime? No, so there's the 2 scholarship timelines, either in fall quarter or starting in spring quarter. And it depends on the external deadlines of the scholarships. So let me bring it up again. So for SOP-PREP, you can sign up anytime, but if you want to apply for any of these specific scholarships, you will need to apply by a certain date. So for all of these ones, you need to apply by fall quarter, and here is during spring quarter. Yes, I can definitely do that. Let me make a note, that way I don't forget. And then all of this information also is on our website. So if you do forget and have more questions, you can always go to our website or schedule an appointment with us. But I'll definitely make sure to share the PowerPoint. Oh, I wanted to point out, I added it in the link that I gave you guys, but if you are an international or AB 540 student, there are only 5 scholarships available. So I want to make sure you guys know that, just so you can keep that in mind. It's the Donald A. Strauss, the Knight Hennessy, the Cambridge, the Rhodes, and the Schwarzman Scholars scholarship in the first year. Yeah, so all of the scholarships actually are not available to first year students, and this is because they are more on the competitive side. We want you to build your experiences up and have just that way you can present yourself in the best light. So we start all of these scholarships as a sophomore all the way up to a year after you graduate.